Hello, welcome to the Park Life Podcast. My name is Mike. I'm a travel agent that specializes in all things Disney, Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruises, and Disney Alani. Here to help you in any way possible. Today is episode 38 of the Park Life Podcast, and today we're going to talk about timing, the timing of when you should do everything in booking a trip. And maybe by the end of this, you'll see why working with a travel agent can be helpful at times. So let's dive right in. First, simply when should you book your trip? Well, I know there are some people who like to do last minute. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I would tell you book it as early as possible. Now, when you do so, you'll be charged a $200 deposit if it's a package deal, room and tickets. If it's a room only stay, you'll be charged the first night stay plus tax. Basically, that's your deposit. Okay. Anytime between then and the time you make your final payment, if Disney comes out with a promotion that your trip would apply or qualify for, we can apply that promotion and save you the money. Now, the reason why you want to book as soon as possible is as soon as you do and secure with that deposit, you're locked in as far as the rate goes. Meaning, if Disney raises rates anytime after that, you are protected. The rate quoted, the rate at the booking, the rate at the deposit amount, you're locked in. You're protected from any rate increases. So that's one reason why it's very important. Book as early as you can. Now, Disney usually opens up the following calendar year, anywhere between 6 and 9 months from the start of that year, which essentially is giving you sometimes 15 to as many as 20 months out to book. So booking early protects you from price increases. Also gives you plenty of time to make payments if that's something that you're interested in as well. Next, dining. When do you book dining? So there's a couple answers there. If you're staying on property, your dining window opens up online at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, 60 days out from your arrival date. And you can then book all of your dining for up to uh, 10 days stay. So if you're there for 10 whole days, 60 days out at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, if you go online, you can book really up to 70 days of out from that point in time because you can book dining for the day of arrival up to 10 days. If you're staying off of property, you can still book 60 days in advance, but you're booking for that day 60 days out in advance. And again, 6 a.m. Eastern if you go online. If you decide to call to book, the window opens up at 7 a.m. Eastern, 60 days out. So keep that in mind. Next, let's talk about when should you book your enchanting extras. And there's a long list of different enchanting extras, and I'm actually going to cover those in a future podcast. But for today, we'll just cover probably the most popular one that most think of when you hear enchanting extras, and that's the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique inside the Magic Kingdom. For that, it's also 60 days out. However, that window opens at midnight Eastern Time, 60 days out. So if you're booking on your own at midnight Eastern, 60 days out, you're going to be up on your computer booking Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique or one of the other enchanting extras. And then you're going to take a few hour cat nap and get back up at 6 a.m. Eastern Time to book your dining. Not much sleep had on 60 days out, that's for sure. Checking into your resort can start online as early as 60 days out, and that's something that you would do through your My Disney Experience app if you choose to do that. Some people like to do it, and when they arrive, they can go straight to their room and use their phone. The MDE app will allow you to open up your room through the room key pass. Others, like myself, I like the interaction with the cast member, and so we check in face to face when we arrive. Now, as far as the arrival day goes, check-in opens technically at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, day of arrival. I've been there before earlier, and I've been lucky that my room has been ready, but there's no guarantee. And honestly, there's even no guarantee at 3 p.m. It really is dependent upon how many people check out the night before, or the morning of, I should say, on how many rooms they have to prep for new arrivals. So be flexible. Expect around 3 p.m. Eastern, but be flexible. Checkout day, your checkout is at 11 a.m. Eastern. And again, make sure that you're good about that because they will start coming around to the rooms, getting those prepped for the next arrivals. Please note on checkout day, you still have access to the park. You still have access to the perks of being a resort guest. You can take your luggage that's all packed up, take it down to Bell Services, and they will hold it for you while you go to the park, go to Disney Springs, go get breakfast or lunch before you head to the airport, whatever it may be. So you can take advantage of those things. Let's talk about lightning lanes real quick. So whether it's a lightning lane, single pass, multi-pass, or premier pass, if you're staying on property, you can book those 7 days out. So if you're arriving on May 30th, on May 23rd, your window opens up that morning, and you can begin booking. And as a resort guest, you can book 7 days out for up to 14 days of your trip. So again, now you're technically booking 21 days out. If you're a non-resort guest, your window opens up to book lightning lanes 3 days in advance. If you're a memory maker person, which I think is a great value, especially if it's your first visit ever, so that you don't have to worry about trying to take pictures, or worse yet, if you were the picture taker, you don't have to come home from your trip and realize you're not in a single photo because you took all of the pictures. Memory Maker, you can purchase that at any point in time, but a minimum of 3 days out and earlier, you get it at a discounted price. You save about $20. If you wait inside of 3 days, you're paying a full price for it. Still available, but you're just paying a little bit more. If you need to rent a stroller or a motorized scooter, the ECVs, and you wish to do so ahead of time outside of the parks so that you can use those scooters or strollers for the entirety of your stay, I recommend that you book those at least 3 months out to ensure availability. You can book sooner, and again, you can book later, but you may be subject to availability limitations. Just keep that in mind. Next, what if you need transportation from the airport, Orlando International MCO, to your Disney property? I recommend at least 2 months out booking that. And the earlier you book, the more availability there is. Now, this would be if you're booking something like Mears Transportation or other companies like that. If you're going to do Uber or Lyft, you would just utilize the app like you normally would to reserve your ride, and then ride that way. But if you're doing something like the transportation buses that you pay for the services, again, I do at least 2 months out. The earlier, the better for the most availability. When should you plan your park days? Well, again, it's mainly a kind of how you are, right? If you're a type A person, a super planner, i.e., me, you're planning your park days as soon as you can. If you're a last minute fly by the seat of your pants, thrill, excitement, let's just let the day roll as it is, then the answer is far different. But about 60 to as many as 70 days out, Disney will publish the park hours for each of the parks. So for me, when I plan my trips, I look at those park hours. For instance, if the Magic Kingdom is open till 10 p.m. on a certain day, and the rest of the time it closes at 9 p.m., I want to get the most out of my trip. So I'm going to plan my Magic Kingdom day for the day that that park is open a little bit later. So valuable to know. But please note, Disney can and sometimes will change park hours inside of that 60 to 70 days. Now, never say never, but I've never seen them shorten the park hours inside of that 60 to 70 days. If anything, because of crowd levels as you're approaching the week of your trip, you may see them expand a park. Maybe Disney Magic Kingdom goes from 10 p.m. close to 11 p.m. close, for instance. I will say most of the time, there are certain special occasions, but most of the time, Epcot closes at 9 p.m. Every night, and they do Illuminous at 9 p.m. every night. Hollywood Studios typically closes at 9 p.m. every night. Fantasmic will vary based on when the sun sets and how dark it gets, how early it gets dark. But again, they could change those week of or so forth. So you want to stay tuned, especially again if you're a super planner. You want to make sure that you do that. But 60 to 70 days out, you can plan on at least the initial release of park hours. If you're looking to do grocery delivery to your resort, which is becoming a more and more popular thing that folks like to do, you can get your snacks brought in, bottled water brought in, things like that that will help save you money during your trip. Most of the grocery delivery offerings will open up as early as 14 days out, but you really should plan at least 3 days prior as a minimum. So somewhere in that 3 to 14 day range for any of your grocery delivery that you'd like to do. Next, I don't like to talk about this one because none of us like this one, but things happen. And if you do need to cancel your trip, I know it hurts to even say the word cancel, but if you have to cancel your trip, if you've booked a package stay, room and tickets, you have up until 30 days prior to check-in, which is basically when you make your final payment, to cancel to get all of your money back. If you cancel inside of 30 days, um, you'll typically get your money back minus the $200 deposit. Disney is very good about working with you if you need to cancel and push your trip out. You can do that and you'll just pay price difference. So again, when you first book, you were locked in at price. But if you have to cancel and rebook, then you're subject to the current prices and it may adjust a little bit from what your original package was. If you booked a room only, so maybe you're an annual pass holder, for instance, or you were going to do a non-park trip, believe me, there's plenty of things to do outside of the park to make a week's worth at a Disney resort incredibly magical. But if you're booked a room only, you can cancel that as late as 8 days prior to arrival to get your full refund back of your room plus tax deposit. Okay, this next one, if you've ever listened to me talk in the past, you probably won't be surprised that I'll bring this up, but this may be a surprise to you of what it is if you've not heard me in the past. When should you start exercising for your trip? Yeah, that's right. I said exercise. Because on average, you're going to walk somewhere between 5 and 12 miles each day inside of one of the Disney parks at Disney World. If you're a couch potato like I am most of the time, and you don't exercise ahead of your trip, by the end of the first day, you're probably going to be totally physically spent. So you want to start walking. Now, this is my health public service announcement. If you necessarily need to, and this is entirely up to you and your circumstances, please check with your physician first. But as soon as 60 to 90 days out, you should start walking. And if you want to start earlier than that, 120 days, 150 days, or if you walk all of the time, great. But a minimum of 60 days out, you should start walking daily. If you're not a walker, I'm going to use myself again, the old couch potato, and it's 60 days out, and I'm going to start my walking routine. Don't go hit the neighborhood and walk for 8 miles. Again, you're going to exhaust yourself. Build your stamina up. When I do this each time, maybe I'll walk for a half mile to a mile on my first day. Maybe my first 2 or 3 days I do that. And then I go up from there so that by day 30, I'm walking 4 miles or maybe 5 miles a day. And then by day 60, I'm walking 6 to 7 miles. You don't necessarily have to walk every single day, but at least 3 to 4 days a week, I would recommend to start building up that stamina so that you're ready for your trip. Okay, we've done all of those things. We've checked into our resort. We're ready to hit the parks. Let's talk about transportation to the parks. And I'm talking about the free offering of transportation that Disney provides to its resort guests. If you have your own car, this obviously is managed by when you decide hop in the car to take off. So we'll start with the traditional bus service from your resorts. So if you're, for instance, staying at the All-Star Resorts, sports, movies, or music, your option is the bus for all four of the parks. Bus service from your parks to the resort start approximately 45 to 60 minutes prior to early park entry. So if the Magic Kingdom opens at 9 a.m. published opening time, resort guests get to start enjoying the rides 30 minutes early, so at 8:30. So at the minimum, about 7:30 a.m., you'll see buses running from your resorts to the Magic Kingdom. It could be earlier than that, but at a minimum, 60 minutes prior to early park entry. And then they will run approximately 60 minutes after park closing. So if you're in line for Tron or Tiana's Bayou Adventure or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train or whatever it may be, at 9:59 p.m. and the park closes at 10, you are allowed to stay in that line and ride the ride as long as the ride is operating. There's no mechanical issues. You may be walking out of that park close to an hour after closure. Buses will continue to run up through about 60 minutes. And I say up through about 60 minutes because if they know there are people still standing in the bus lines getting on the buses, they're not going to stop service. They're going to get you back to your resort. If you're going to park hop from Magic Kingdom to Hollywood or to Epcot or Animal Kingdom, whatever it may be, from a bus service perspective, those buses will start at 10 a.m. and again run approximately 60 minutes after park closing. So if you ran into the Magic Kingdom at 8:30 to ride Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and then you wanted to hightail it over to Hollywood Studios, on the buses, there's no hightailing. You're going to wait till at least 10 a.m. before buses start to run in the park hop mode. Now, if you're looking to go to Disney Springs from your resort, bus service from the resort to Disney Springs starts at 9 a.m. And again, it will run approximately 60 minutes after Disney Springs closing. So you can factor that into your plans. If you happen to be on the Skyliner hub or on the Skyliner route in a resort and you're a Skyliner fan, and Art of Animation, Pop Century, Caribbean Beach Resort, the Riviera, as long as the monorail of the Skyliner is running, that's the only mode of transportation at those four resorts you have going to Hollywood Studios or going to Epcot. Buses will not run. They will only run if weather is inclement or the Skyliner is under maintenance or something like that and it's not running. Okay, so keep that in mind. Oh, I've talked about this before. If you have a fear of heights, you've never been there, never seen the Skyliner, I don't recommend staying on a Skyliner resort because your choice then is to either face your fears and get on that Skyliner and be 20 to 30, 40 feet up in the air, or for your Hollywood and Epcot days, getting an Uber or a Lyft. Skyliner will run approximately 60 minutes prior to early park entry, and it also will run between 60 and 90 minutes roughly after park closure. Now, as a Skyliner fanatic, I love that mode of transportation at 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. At your resort. Pop Century and Art of Animation, for instance, those two resorts share the same hub, so it's one line. That line is incredibly long, and it may seem discouraging to you, but keep in mind two things. One, that line is servicing two different parks. If you go out to the bus stop at All Stars, you're not standing in the same line for two of the parks, Hollywood Studios and Epcot. You have separate lines. You're also sharing it with two resorts. So you're doubling the line because of two resorts, and you're then doubling the line because it services two parks. The Skyliner is a continuous run. It loads quickly. They're putting 6 to 10 people in each of the cabs, depending on family size, and that line moves quickly. I don't think I've ever stood in that line more than 30 minutes, and it's always moving, so I feel like I'm making progress. I know if you're like me, when I'm driving in my vehicle, I might go out of my way to avoid busy stoplight intersections. Even if it takes me 5 minutes longer to get there, I feel like I'm making progress because I'm moving. Same thing in the Skyliner line, it moves continuously. We've been there to watch Illuminous at the end of our Epcot day, and you exit the back of the park by France through the World Showcase International entrance there. The line is incredibly long. We were there for opening night of Luminous, and when we got back to get in line for the Skyliner, the line was all the way back to the boardwalk. It moved quickly. We were on it within 30 minutes. And keep in mind, in that scenario, if we were in the back of the park to watch the nighttime fireworks, if we were at All Stars, for instance, we'd have to walk all the way through up to the front of the park, out of the front entrance, and then all the way to the bus pickup area. That's probably a 20-minute walk right there. And then you're waiting in line for the bus 20 to 30 minutes, and then your 20-minute bus ride. So don't be daunted by the line for the Skyliner. It moves quickly, and you're saving a lot of walking. If you're on the monorail loop, so you're staying at Polynesian, you're staying at the Grand Floridian, you're staying at the Contemporary, and then Bay Lake that's attached to it, monorails will run approximately 30 minutes prior to early entry, and they will run anywhere from 60 to 120 minutes after park closure. So keep that in mind in your management of that. Now, if you're looking at boat transportation, so you're staying at the Wilderness Lodge and that has a boat from there to the Magic Kingdom entrance and back, boats do have varying schedules. They are probably, I mean, the Skyliner has impact with weather, with strong winds or lightning. Boat service can be impacted by, weather as well, thunderstorms, wind, that sort of thing. That can impact boat service. So it varies. The best offer I can give you is to check at your resort or park and check daily, maybe check multiple times throughout the day, depending upon the weather. So I did not mention airlines, and if you're going to rent vehicles, I did not mention that. Those I'm going to leave for you to research because those can be variable based on airline, based on car carrier for rentals, and I didn't want to dive too far into that simply because there's so much difference. And with the airlines in particular, you've got multiple airlines. You've got, depending upon where you're living, a different scenario with an airport that might be different from the airport that I fly in and out of, or the next person does. So that's so variable. It just didn't make sense for me to go into any of that here. Let's now walk through all of the things that I just touched on. I think there were about 14, and kind of in a chronological order of when you should consider doing these things. And you might want to take note. However, I'll say this again, if you work with a travel agent such as myself, you don't have to worry about any of these things. You can just be dreaming and smiling about the excitement of your trip and let your travel agent do all of the worrying for this stuff for you. But here we go. In chronological order of earliest things you should do, first is book your trip. Now, I would tell you when you book it, if you want Memory Maker, just include it right there. Be done with it. You don't have to worry that, oh gosh, I'm 3 days out or I'm 5 days out. I need to book it. So just do it right then and there. Take care of it. Um, if you need to book a flight, I would do that as early as possible as well for the most availability. And I'll just leave it at that for you. Booking your stroller or motorized scooter, the ECV, at least 3 months out would be next. Begin exercising again at least 60 days and maybe longer than that. So maybe that is something that you put your deposit down on your trip and the next day you go out and start walking. Booking your transportation. If it's Mears Transportation, if it's one of those services like that, that would probably be the next thing chronologically that I would consider doing. Again, the sooner you do it, the more availability you have and options, possibly depending on who you're working with. Booking your Enchanting Extras is next. Again, that's 60 days out at midnight Eastern time. That happens before my next one, so remember that. So that's Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and a whole host of other things. And if you're interested in what those other things are, watch for my next podcast to come out and I will cover all of those. Next would be booking your dining. Again, 60 days out, but this time it's at 6 a.m. Eastern in the morning. So about 6 hours after the Enchanting Extras opens up. If you're a online check-in person, that is next up. You can do that as early as 60 days out and get that taken care of. So that would be next chronologically for you. Making your park planning. If you remember, I said park hours come out about 62 as many as 70 days prior. So if you want to start planning which park on which days based on park hours, that's when you start doing that. The word I didn't like earlier, but I'll use it again. If you need to cancel, that would be next chronologically, at least 30 days out. If you have a package, 8 days out if it's a room only. Grocery delivery was next up. 3-day minimum, 14-day maximum. So if you're doing that, keep that in mind chronologically. Lightning lanes is next, 7 days out for a resort guest, up to 14 days stay. So really it's 21 days out. So depending upon how many days you're there, you might do that before you do your online grocery ordering. Memory Maker, I mentioned that. I would recommend buying it up front, putting it in your package so you don't have to worry about it. But if you haven't done that and you decide you want to add it, at least 3 days out to get the discounted price. And then last but not least on my list is checking into your resort when you arrive. Again, 3 p.m. is official check-in time. Checkout time is 11 a.m. And then once you're there, all of the transportation times that we talked about with bus, Skyliner, monorail, and boats. And that's it. Easy peasy, right? Nothing to this. Actually, there's a lot to it. And that's why I wanted to cover that today in this podcast. Hope the information has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, please pop them into the chat and I will promise to get back to you. You can also reach out to me on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube. You can find me at Mike_Disney Travel. Obviously, you can find me here on YouTube on the Park Life Podcast. You can also find me on Facebook at Mike's Magical World Vacations. Love to help you, love to work with you and your family on your next trip. If you have questions on any of this information, please reach out. I would love to help you and answer your questions. And I do that whether you're booking with me or not. At the end of the day, I want you to have a magical time. That's it for today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you are not watching me on YouTube, I hope you're listening to me on Spotify. We post these out every Monday morning at approximately 5 a.m. Eastern Time. So that if you're driving into work on Monday mornings, you can listen to me on Spotify. Or if you're in front of your computer, you can watch and listen at your leisure as well. Appreciate your time today. Appreciate your support. As I like to say, enjoy today because tomorrow's an even better day. And when you wake up tomorrow, remember it's a great day to be alive. Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you again next time. Bye bye.